Hello, my name is Etienne Kubwabo. I'm the founder of Etienne Var Studios and Malaway Films. And today I'm excited to introduce you to our first video masterclass. And from this video, you're going to be taking away some really interesting approaches on world building. From the idea to the paper, to your research, to kind of building a whole world where your characters can exist. So the topic of today matters because when you're creating a comic book or creating a story or creating a movie, for example, you have to build a world where your characters that exist. Now, that's really important because you need to decide if the world that your characters exist reflects the world that we live in, or if it's set in future, or if it's an apocalyptic world that's been maybe attacked by whatever alien invasion, some sort of world like that. Or you need to decide if it's set in maybe back in the day, let's say in 1800s. So that whole world building is key to storytelling. It reflects on how your characters walk, talk, even the way they react to things. So that's why world building is really important in storytelling, because it lets your readers know where everything is happening. And I'm excited today to show you the whole journey that I use building my whole world from scratch to actually having something that people can enjoy reading in a comic book or in a movie. So what's my unique approach? I get asked this question a lot because I run a lot of workshops with a lot of young people in schools, colleges, other community organizations, but also have done a lot of workshops in even like universities as well. So this question is quite interesting because when you look at other creators who have built worlds way before me, I think the first comic book myself came out in the 1930s. They've always had an approach to the way they want to tell stories, from where their characters exist, what sort of theme they're going to go for, what sort of look the character has on, for example, what they wear and the world they live in. So many creators and writers have built different worlds, but every time I get into a new project, I always ask myself, what's my unique approach? And I've been asked this question so many times. So what I always usually do is use things that I know. For example, I usually look at my character. I look at things that I'm interested in. It could be music, it could be something I might have seen on TV or something that I've seen while on holiday. And also life experiences usually are the best way to approach world building. And I think every person, not just me, has their unique approach or the way they look at life. And if you could use that and put that in your sort of world building process, you always come up with something unique to you that speaks to the audience and shows them your angle of this world. And so the mindset going into this, I think that's the very first thing you have to sort of think about mindset wise. Is like you have to be a free thinker. What do I mean by a free thinker? You have to let your mind flow with cool ideas, and even the stupidest ideas, those always make some really awesome, cool, results. And obviously some interesting ideas. And as you can imagine, you can come up with ideas that are as big as whatever you can imagine, basically. So do never limit yourself to how you can sort of bring ideas to a paper, and use the world around you. There's so many things that can inspire you. For example, I moved to Scotland in 2009, and I found myself drawing inspiration from different landmarks around Scotland. And obviously, coming from Congo as well, I usually use my character as a sort of a reference to sort of add into the world, which gives it a unique look. And obviously that's a unique approach as well. So using things around you is really good. You can also tap into your old memories as a kid, things that you really liked from Nintendo games or whatever, or the sort of music you liked, how people dressed back in the day. All those things you can tap into and sort of bring into your world building. And to never, ever, don't ever put any limitation on yourself, because as soon as you put a limitation, it becomes like a barrier. Then you limit to other ideas that could come in freely, and some ideas that you sort of stumble upon as you're doing your world building. For example, sometimes I'll get a blank of paper and I'm trying to build a world or come up with ideas. And when you start sketching something based on what you like, for example, another idea may come in, like as you're doing the thing that you're sketching out. And usually if you don't put limitations to your mind, then you can have room for those new ideas that come in as you sort of sketch out whatever you're sketching, add to whatever that thing that you're building. And the final thing I can say is have fun. I mean, the whole point of doing stories, and as a comic book fan and a comic book creator and also filmmaker, building worlds, you want to build something that the fans can read or see and recognize something and see your signature, obviously, embedded within the design or whatever you build. So if you have fun with it and get all these ideas out of you and put them on paper, and one thing I can say, as you're having the fun, don't try and perfect everything, because I've noticed that with time, you can refine things as you go. Another important thing is setting time to reflect. For example, if I've been working on an idea, this is a blank paper in the studio right now, and maybe I've drawn about 5 sketches, and that's me maybe from 9 a.m. to maybe 3 p.m. and I know I need to go home and do something else. It's always nice to take time off, even if you're taking a day off tomorrow, for example, and you can always come back to the thing you're doing in 2 days time. Usually when you come back with a fresh mind, you bring in more ideas, or you can refine bits that you are not happy with when you left. And I think taking time to experience life, watch and consume other mediums, or maybe go in the park for a walk, your mind is able to bring in these ideas randomly. And this is so weird. Like, I usually get ideas from random places, like I'm walking in the park or having a shower or I'm having a cup of tea. And an idea comes and I'm like, whoa, I could add that to the sketch that I have in the studio. And then I usually take out my phone, write the idea down. And sometimes you could get distracted, but if that idea is meant to come back, for some reason it finds its way and you get that idea down. So taking time to reflect is good. And obviously other things that you could do is like make a routine, obviously, right? Of when you know you're going to the studio or you're going to your workspace to either build words or write a script. For me, I do Tuesdays and Thursdays. And just know that that time is the day to sort of go in and come up with ideas. And sometimes some days it may not work. Just take time, go for a walk, call a friend, and then come back to it. Usually when you come back to it with a fresh mind, it does help. And then obviously if you have to travel, if you there's something maybe you feel like it's a bit challenging, you know, just leave it and then come back to it like next week. And usually, honestly, like some of the ideas, the best ideas I've come up with is like I've drawn something and it's a weird shape and I'm like, where am I going with this? And later when I come back to this, and then I have better ideas on how I can refine it and make it a better idea. And the final thing is have something to write your ideas on. For example, I've got a big notebook that I bought in an art shop that is in my studio. I've got another one that is in my house, and sometimes maybe I may not use those. I may use those when I've planned to sketch out stuff, but sometimes I can get a random idea and I'm at home and it's like 1 in the morning and it's quickly sketch something out. Another other thing I usually do is I've got a iPhone that does these voice notes. I'm sure your phones will do voice notes anyway. Sometimes I get an idea either for a story or a world on how the world looks like, and I'll record voice notes, and that's it. I can come back to it next week and remember, oh, I recorded a voice note. And the other thing is I've got this note app on my phone where I can write notes of what I'm doing the whole week. And on a day that I know I'm coming to do like world building, I can sort of write down, what the idea go while I was at home, so that when I come back to it, I know what I'm supposed to be doing, or the idea go while I was out. So yeah, writing your notes down and recording voice notes and writing idea you've got somewhere, it does really help because you don't forget about it. And I've really noticed that for me, if I have an idea that needs to be added to whatever thing that I'm working on, usually I may write it down, and sometimes, I don't know, it's just like your mind. Once you're back on your sketching paper, you remember the idea you wrote down. Especially if it was that good of an idea, it sticks with you and it keeps like speaking to you like on your ear. So yeah, that's the process. Remember, you know, your unique approach. Use things that you know, use the world that you know, reflect on your culture, look at your culture, look at different things that inspire you around life. And obviously, the other thing we can talk about is think freely, for example, and also use the world around you. Don't put any limitation to yourself, and remember to have fun. And something to also note as we finalize this first video of the workshop, of the masterclass, remember to reflect. Go take time off and come back to it. And finally, make notes of what you think about ideas you come up with. Record voice note, record videos, whatever way you use to store everything so you can always remember.